on the bench this morning is a repaired Xevious board. When this board came to me, it was locked up. It would boot up, have motion. I'll show you. So it would do one step of that motion and then just freeze. So that's typically one of the 3 CPUs. One CPU there, one CPU there, last CPU there. So when this game is stuck like that, it's usually one of those 3 CPUs. I lifted the 3 of them, found some trace damage underneath at least one of them. Found a bent pin, broken pin rather, on this one here, I believe. That last pin. Pin 21 right there. I think I had to fix that one. After I got that repaired, the game would boot, but it was giving me random ROM errors, and that ended up being more trace damage underneath. So it was saying ROM 7, I believe it was saying ROM 6 a couple times too, and it ended up being more trace damage underneath the boards. So I'm sorry, underneath the sockets. These Atari boards, when you're lifting an IC out of them, it's real easy to damage these boards if you just push the screwdriver in underneath the socket and then pry up. And then you kind of work your way down the board, and as you do that, I'll show you the correct way to do it. So you start on one side, and instead of going down the middle and prying, you go down the side of the chip. That way you're not putting any stress on the board. See, like right there, you see that? That's a scrape mark from probably lifting this IC out of this socket. So many of these other ICs were removed at some point and there are other scrape marks underneath there. So when you're going in with a screwdriver, don't go in the middle and pry up. You go down one of the sides. That way we're putting pressure against the socket and not against the board. Now on a board where these traces are protected, like the top of the board has got that, I forget what it's called now. 5 minutes ago I remember what it's called, but now I don't. So the boards are typically green. These traces aren't exposed to the elements like they are here. I'm sure somebody will remind me at some point. Anyway, when those boards, they can still be damaged by gouging traces with a screwdriver, but it's a lot harder. And these Atari boards, because that trace is exposed right there, you can actually break a piece of it off and it'll wander into another trace and it'll short those 2 traces. So I'm going to go ahead and put this IC back. Okay, I'll boot it back up. After I got the CPU board fixed, it had a couple issues on the video board. There was an EEPROM with a leg that was pulled out of the socket. It was folded up underneath the EEPROM. And I believe there was one bad RAM also. This was bad. Okay, so we're up. I'm going to go ahead and coin it up and play it. As you can see, we go up, down, left, right. We can fire. We can drop bombs. We can't play very well with one hand, and so on.